Hey, what's up guys? I hope your day is going well. I want to thank you all so much for clicking into this review. Today we're talking about Black Mirror Bandersnatch, the interactive choose-your-own-adventure film that's now streaming on Netflix. I'm going to tell you what I enjoyed about it, I'm going to tell you where it let me down, and I'm going to give you my overall opinion on if I think this new venture in filmmaking was worth the time. So, let's dive into it. Written by Charlie Brooker and directed by David Slade, the story is set in 1984 and it follows a young computer programmer that's trying to adapt a fantasy novel into a video game. But it's not just any novel, it's one that's written by a man with a very grim past, and it's also a choose-your-own-adventure book. And the further that this kid really dives into the programming of these different story paths, he really begins to question his own reality while he slowly loses touch of it. Now, the story definitely did sound very interesting, but I'm not going to lie, it was the interactive feature alone that pulled me so quickly into this project. I enjoyed some choose-your-own-adventure books as a kid, and with a film promising to really be able to adapt that same vibe with a seamless flow, I was honestly just both intrigued and extremely curious, and I, in the end, did have a good time with this movie. Early on, it really lured me in with some simple choices to get the feel, and it wasn't long before the decision-making really did begin to have real bearing on the story path, which had me extremely fascinated. I also thought the smooth flow of the decision-making process was impressive. The questions are really posed at the right times to just work perfectly into the flow of the character conversations throughout the narrative. I thought it was very clever and extremely well crafted, so for that aspect I really did feel like I was in control of the film for a bulk of the time, which I had a great time with. I do think that later in the story you're sort of guided in certain directions, meaning if you maybe make the wrong choice you end up circling around to make the option that you didn't get a chance to make before. This did make things feel sort of repetitive at times, but I do think it was in small doses because the various ends of the story do conclude themselves pretty quickly to let you go back into the main flow of the narrative before the major branches. I think I saw maybe 4 endings. I think there's 5 different conclusions in this one, and for the ones I saw, I thought they were all very satisfying in their own ways. I do, though, think the interactivity of the film was much more the focus than the story development was. It just felt like a plotline that would have been suited better with many more layers and a more intricate progression of the narrative, simply because I think it was just extremely interesting and it could have explored much more of this mind trip that this character goes on while he's programming these games, which honestly, I'll admit, is almost impossible to do with an interactive film like this. So I think for that aspect, while the plotline itself possibly was too ambitious for the type of movie it wanted to be, it was still a nice balance of character intrigue with the fun novelty of being the puppet master for them at times being a great addition. There were just times I wanted to see more about this world and learn more about the characters and learn more about the layers of their personality and why things were happening, and I think this feeling sort of increased once the decision choices began to overlap and more of that fun uniqueness wore off a little bit. You take away that element of the movie and I think it was a storyline with a wild amount of potential to make some just extremely fun twists and turns that just couldn't do so with the format that it was in. But as it was, I have to say I thoroughly enjoyed it. The experience was more than unique enough to have me very curious about other potential movies that are going to use this interactive feature in the future. The performances were all more than solid. I thought Fionn Whitehead brought in a very capable performance in the lead. He showcased perfectly just a mental breakdown of this character very naturally that did have me interested. I thought Will Poulter was absolutely incredible in a very subtle way, so much in fact that I would have liked to have seen a lot more of him in this story because I think honestly at times his personality was kind of missing during certain sections of the story. Overall, though, I thought this was a fun adventure that I do recommend checking out for just the simple, ambitious creativity of it. It's well crafted, it adds a fun, new, immersive dynamic to the film watching experience, and I'm going to give Black Mirror Bandersnatch 80% on the entertainment meter. If you do have the option for the interactive feature, I highly recommend checking it out. I did mine on the PS4 and it worked great. The story was a little bit more surface level than I had hoped, but the performances do carry it along. The music adds another great element, and I think what the narrative does provide to the mix was really more than enough to invest in for a trippy sci-fi thriller that you do get to have a little bit of control over. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and leave a comment. I would love to hear from you all. Here are some links to some recent reviews just in case you missed them. The link to my official website, all my social media and merchandise store links are going to be down in the description below. And in the event me talking to you guys about movies every couple days is not enough Anthony in your life, I now have a second YouTube channel with a growing collection of non-movie related content for you guys to check out, and I'll see you guys next time.